It's time for another build, holiday edition. What's up, Rebel Scum? We're continuing our Fanhome Darth Vader 1/2 scale build. It's been a journey so far, very interesting. We've gotten a lot of progress made on the helmet. We've gotten a lot of progress made on the chest box and some progress made on the neck brace here. It's starting to come together. We're still a long ways away, but it's really starting to take shape now. We're getting a sense of the scale of this thing, just how massive it's going to be, how cool it looks today. I mean, some of the fun little features like this magnetic locking system for the helmet. So we're expecting a lot of really cool things, and we've been putting the whole sound system in place. So it's going to be really cool when it's done. I'm sure you could have seen a full version of it. I think they had one over at, maybe had one at New York Comic Con, but it's quite impressive, as Darth Vader would say, most impressive. But let's get right into our build today. We're going to be doing 7, 8, and 9 to play a little catch up, and that's going to be focusing on some more helmet details and on the chest box. All right, so we're starting off with our helmet here. We're putting some adhesive padding into it. That is this step. Again, like a lot of this detail, you're not going to see on the outside, but when you open it up, remember it has that magnetic clasp system, you will see it on the inside, and it will look quite nice, I think, once it's all settled. So you can see the little, and I think I might be a little off on here, so I'll have to adjust that. The line right here will tell you where you want to line this up. So they're pretty good at making sure you don't make a mistake, but if you're like me, you want off a little bit. What you just want to do is try to realign at the bottom here to make sure you are perfectly on that line, and then sync it up over here. There we go. So now that's where that is supposed to be. I guess these will be important, these little latches here, at a future step, but this is a little foam padding that we're putting on the inside here, and then we have one for the other side as well. These come with the adhesive backing on there, so you don't have to worry about glue. You don't actually need glue for anything, but it does tell you if you want to get an extra fit in a couple places, you could put some glue on them. So it's really, I guess, a personal preference. I haven't really found a need for glue to date. Everything seems to snap and hold pretty well, but maybe you might have an issue with something, or a piece might be a little looser fitting. Okay, so we have those two, the padding on both sides. That's in there now, lined up perfectly. And then our next step is we have a couple more pieces here. I'm starting to bury them, that we want to get some more detail on the inside. So this is a little nose ridge thing. You'll see these two holes up in here. This will fit into here, essentially. And so I got my ridge piece in here. That was just a real hassle with my big hands. And then I put this little metal piece here, or this little plastic piece on top of the mouthpiece, and then this little gold piece here. You could see a ton of detail coming in. Again, like, unless you were a diehard Darth Vader fan and you knew everything about it, you probably wouldn't even notice this detail. So Fanhome really did their research, went really far into the lore here to build this whole helmet. So I just snapped this piece into place, and now we're rounding out what we have left here. So again, like I said, everything is kind of sequential. So this goes on top of this piece. So if you didn't get that in right, you weren't going to be able to get this piece in at all. So we'll put this piece on here. And then the last piece is right here. And this just kind of holds everything together. So that is our assembled sort of mouthpiece here. A lot more detail you can see with the gold onlay on top of all these other little intricate pieces. So let's move on to step 8. All right, well, we're going to be doing a couple things here with these parts. You can see we're going to be going back to the chest panel. So we're going to be starting here with the chest box. We have one of our little rods that we need to attach. Now it's not metal. I was hoping it was metal, but it is not. This one is plastic. So we could see that we want this to go in here, and this should just pop in. You can see the perforations on it all kind of line up here. With the holes, so it fits nice and flush in there. So now we get a little bit more detail on our chest box. So we're getting there, we're almost done. A couple more pieces on here. Now we're going to go back to that neck brace we started. We were making good progress on this, looking to connect it to the helmet. Now we have this piece. It gives us a little more detail, and this should be plugging in, I think, right here. I don't see the holes for it though. Gotta line them up a little bit better. There we go. So we want to put the neck brace in here, and this should snap to fit. And then we're going to be securing it on with some additional screws in just a moment. So yep, this stage has screws in this part, so bear with me for that. So again, we have these little metal parts that are going to be like the brace here, and we're going to be putting them into the individual sides on both sides of this. So these will be using not our screwdriver, but our Allen key. So hopefully you kept that from the last instance. And I'll be mounting one here and one here, but I won't make you watch that because that will take a while. So the other parts we have is a little more detail for the helmet. We have this little strip here that we're supposed to put in the top there above the part we just put in. So hopefully you paid attention and you put that in the right way. Otherwise it's going to look a little funny. But you can see the holes right up here at the top all the way through. So let's see if we could line this up perfectly without any problems. I think so. Yep, look at that. We got that in there perfectly. So that lined up. We have our additional little bit of detail in there. And then we have one more piece in this set, and that is this little, I think, nose guard, nose reinforcement as it's called. And that will go in this way, and that lines up right here in the helmet, and it should push right into, if I get my big mitts to line it up, right here into this big hole, and there we go, and there we go. Snapped right into place, and that kind of finishes off some detail on the helmet. Okay, let me get those screws in, and then we'll move on to step 9. All right, so as you can see here, I got part 8 all done. We attached these two little bolt details here to keep this all together, and you can see this side is nice and flush now. Now for part 9, we have the other side of the chest box, the little rail here. So we're going to be putting this in. This should all snap into place. Coming together, we get a little bit more detail on the chest box. So it's looking pretty sharp at this point, really liking it. This should be lighting up too in sequence once we get that all done. We have another little element for the helmet. We did this side last time. Now we're on this side. So again, we want to orient it the right way. We want to line up those holes. We want to get this into position. This should not be too difficult, but as always, I find a way to make it difficult because of my giant hands. And we'll get that lined up and put in these holes here in just a second. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we got that all set up in there, and we'll be seeing what this does eventually here. Not sure exactly what this is for. I don't see what they call it in the instructions. The right eye connector arc is what it's called. So not really sure what it's for, but eventually I'm sure we'll figure it out. It'll all come into play. But for now, it's just a little bit more detailing there in the helmet that we have assembled. And our last step here is going to be putting one of these little connectors over the top here, and it's just going to kind of put everything into place for us. So in this case, we have, it's weird to tell which way it orients, but I don't think it matters. So we have 1 here, 2 here, and there we go. So I will essentially, now that we have this on place, get the 2 little connectors into place, and this will hold this all together. And this is really starting to take shape. You can see all the detail that we have coming into place on this guy. It's really starting to come in. And then after I put these 2 in, the only other thing we have in this set is here. Now this isn't for this part. This is going to be for a future build, and this is the section of his armor in the middle. I'm sure we're going to get other of these plates, and this looks like a connector, so it'll be connecting 2 sections of armor together. But we're starting to see some parts from the body now. So let me get these 2 bolts on, and we'll wrap things up. All right, and that wraps up 7, 8, and 9 for us. Put some more detailing on the helmet, a ton of it on this mouthpiece area here behind the grill. That was the metal grill there. And then we have this padding on the side. I mean, making it look like someone's going to go inside. Nothing on the bottom half of the helmet. I think this is mostly done at this point. And then we got some more work on the chest box. So we got the 2 rails on the side there. Although these weren't metal, I thought they would be metal, but they fit in pretty nice. And then we did a lot more work on the neck brace. So we put some more detailing down here. We secured this part here. We secured it over the top. So I think in the next set, we're going to have another one of these and then one of these on the bottom, and that will finish the neck brace. And maybe we'll be able to mount it here to the back of the bottom part here, the helmet. So it looks like you can connect it right now, and then you put 2 screws in on the side here to just finish off the assembly, but I think they want us to do more before we get to that stage. And then we got a little teaser for the armor here, for the chest armor. So this will be going here in the middle, combining the 2 halves. So I think next time we're going to be starting to work on the armor is the next one for, we'll do 10, 11, and 12. So starting to take shape. I think most of the detail is going to be in the helmet. we're starting to move through that. We got the top on here to connect it to the dome, but we still haven't put the lenses in. And I think that's because there are a lot more holes I am seeing in here to put things in. So we're probably gonna have a ton more detail in this helmet. And then we're almost done with this piece. And then I think we are done with this piece. So, once we finish that, I think we'll be moving a lot quicker through the other stages, because the armor is probably gonna snap together in a couple phases. And then we're just gonna have like the clothing underneath that's gonna go on top of some frame. So you're not gonna see detail underneath his leather clothing, obviously, but I think this is where the most visual part of this character is, because this helmet is designed to be open with the magnetic attachments, and I think there is a head that goes inside too. So we'll be getting to that in a future phase, but chugging along, we're getting there. We're 9 steps in, and you could definitely see the huge amount of detail that is the Darth Vader helmet. And it's just so massive and awesome looking, and I'm really excited about how this is all going to come together, and I'm excited to see how the electronics are going to work. This is just looking great. I know he's got a motion sensor that we put in here, so he should go off when you walk by him too. So we're getting there, making progress a little bit, slowly but surely. Make sure you're holding on to your tools from step 1, and this came in somewhere between 4 and 6. The Allen key, because you are going to need them, and they're not going to give you another one. So make sure you hold on to those tools. So that is all for this time. Tune back for more phases of our build in the new year. Like, subscribe, and follow, and stay vigilant, you Rebel Scum.